In the quieter suburbs of San Andreas, Ron Jakowski lived a life that many would call ordinary. He worked as an accountant, calculating figures in a small office that smelled old coffee. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. More importantly, it allowed him to build a modest life with his wife, whom he'd been happily married for 12 years. They shared a home, a dream of a simple life, with a secure future. But every home has a way of becoming a prison, and Ron never realized just how harsh this world was, until Trevor came into his life, destroying it piece by piece.
Ron, you're awful. In every way.
In every way, Trevor.
You need a lot of help.
I know. From you.
You're pathetic.
I know, Trevor.
Trevor wasn't like anyone Ron had ever met. He was loud, unpredictable, terrifying, and strangely charismatic.
Jesus Christ, Trevor, what is that?
What's wrong with you? That's just a what? An eyelid. That's probably not even human. Unless that gas station job.
He convinced Ron to leave his wife, as she was only holding him back in life, keeping him away from reaching his full potential. On Trevor's Life Invader page, he posted, "Best thing you ever did, scaring my wife off like that." Ron eventually left his wife, but was deeply in debt because he had to pay settlement fees to her. Poor, depressed, and deep in debt, Ron moved to Sandy Shores. He ended up becoming Trevor's best friend, and moved into a trailer next door to him, becoming Trevor's right-hand man. He joined Trevor Phillips Enterprise, a drug business owned by Trevor himself. Ron handled the logistics, the radio communications, the small details that Trevor never had the patience for. He acted as the CEO of Trevor's business, managing it while Trevor was not in Sandy Shores. By the time of early 2013, he had grown used to chaos. Working under Trevor was a dangerous job, but Ron believed in Trevor. He saw him as a visionary, someone who could build an empire from scraps.
Because we got more runs, Ron. If there is one thing that they need south of that big fence, it is guns.
Trevor Phillips Industries. Technical expertise, managerial innovations, unstoppable.
Oh, that's right. Now go. I need to meditate. Or masturbate. Or both.
Paranoia, drugs, and madness surrounded them daily, but Ron stayed loyal to Trevor. By 2013, a new thief arrived in Los Santos, an ambitious man working for the family's associate Gerald. The thief stole an RV, but not just any RV. This one belonged to Trevor. Ron's heart sank the moment he heard what happened. He knew what this meant. Trevor would explode, and someone would likely end up in pieces. Thinking fast, Ron contacted the thief, who in our case is the protagonist, and summoned them to Trevor's trailer in Sandy Shores. Instead of going on a rampage like he usually does, Trevor made an offer to the protagonist to work for him to make up for the loss.
Or not even an inappropriate selfie of your tits. But I love you. Really, I love you. You're like the close female friend I've always wanted. You're like the eager soldierette that I've always needed. So it's time to start repaying your debt to society. And you can start by dealing with the terrible harm you've done to the local businesses, especially mine!
From that point on, Ron became the player's handler. Most of the jobs were direct hits against the Lost MC, stealing vans, hijacking tankers, and stealing crates of weapons. Eventually, the groundwork was laid for something bigger, the Series A funding heist. Ron stood by Trevor's side as they pitched the operation to the protagonist. He played his part during the setup phases.
Okay, it's too late to save my marriage, but, you know, I got it.
Meeting the crew at the drop-offs and guiding them through missions via airpieces.
Recyclers! Yeah, we think very green. We take the drugs that already exist in America and we add value to their supply chain.
During this time of madness, Ron remained Trevor's loyal right hand and stood by his side no matter what. Ron has always been very interested in conspiracy theories. Sandy Shores, which was a town known for paranormal activity, gave him the perfect opportunity to create his own podcast. He started hosting a podcast during the community hour on the Blaine County radio, using the airtime to broadcast his theories and warnings to anyone who would listen. People are fools to post anything on here. It's all wired straight to the government. Ron always knew that working with Trevor meant living in danger. But even for him, the day Johnny Klebitz showed up at Trevor's trailer, it became too much. He and Wade tried to calm him down, but as usual, Trevor didn't listen.
Take off your pants, cowboy, all right? Let's fuck.
You think this is funny?
Get them off!
I told him to leave it, Trevor. I told him. Leave it. Leave it.
Shut up, Ron.
Killing Johnny in the most brutal way you could imagine. Klebitz was dead faster than Ron could blink. Trevor dragged Ron and Wade into his body and began chasing the lost MC. They drove straight to Grapeseed to confront some of their known members, Terry and Clay. The lost MC fled to Stab City to raise the alarm, but they never made it as Trevor chased them down and killed them on the road. Trevor's madness continued as he burnt down Stab City, the lost MC's headquarters, and killed Ortega, an old associate of Trevor Phillips' enterprise. Ron wasn't just scared, he was threatened for his life, living in the fear that one day he might be the next. Nervous as he was, he returned to Trevor's trailer to calm down, only to discover that the lost MC trashed Trevor's trailer.
This meant more to me than Johnny K meant to anyone, and they smashed it. Those pathetic midlife crisis, hog-riding, shaven-headed, fruity leather, chapped-wearing assholes.
In the days that followed, the lost MC was murdered one by one by Trevor, and Ron, as loyal as he was, stood by his side. Their next target was the Sandy Shores airfield, an airfield controlled by the lost MC. Trevor, now thinking tactically, posted himself on a water tower with a sniper rifle, holding Ron's back while he snuck into the airfield. They stole 2 planes, which they used to deliver weapons to a Mexican contact.
So the guns are going to Mexico? Mexico! Yeah, guy in the boat is Oscar Guzman. He's in with the cartels.
If there's a market, this could be a way to expand the business.
Like I hadn't thought of that. We might be able to buy into Oscar's thing, but leave that to me, Ron.
They landed safely at the Mackenzie field, and from there, Trevor Phillips' enterprises only grew in the Blaine County region. But then everything changed. Wade discovered Michael Townley's whereabouts in Los Santos, leading him to put Ron in temporary charge of the business.
We're going to Los Santos.
Are we?
Not you, me and Wade.
What about me?
You're CEO of Trevor Phillips Enterprises. Find us some business so that we can make some money.
While Trevor was in Los Santos, he occasionally contacted Ron, asking for advice.
What's happening?
My ex-wife called me again.
Man, there is nothing worse in this world than an ex-wife. A perpetual reminder of life's mistakes.
A dreadful mistake. She's thinking of suing me again.
After working with Martin Madrazo, kidnapping his wife, and being exiled from Los Santos, Trevor finally returned home to Sandy Shores with Michael and started working with Ron again. While he was away, Ron stayed by his side, monitoring Merryweather networks to collect information about them, which he later informed to Trevor. Trevor used this information to intercept a Merryweather weapons plane and later derail a Merryweather train carrying precious goods. By 2017, Ron had found a new hustle, with Trevor leaving him for his career in Winewood. He had no other choice but to change with this environment.
Oh, you're my new partner. You bought into the place. You're late. What kept you? Yeah, well, it's too late. Ah, that bastard Cred. My best friend? Oh, he's supposed to protect me forever? Then he goes all Vinewood on me. He's too important for Ron now.
Around this time, a new episode of the Blaine County Radio Community Hour was broadcasted. With Trevor gone, he had to find an ally, someone who knew business, so he began working with the protagonist once again, a rising figure in the criminal underworld. Together they launched a smuggling operation, with Ron taking a 3% cut of all goods exported via the hangar. In late 2022, he reached out to his contact because something strange was happening out in Sandy Shores. A newly arrived group had taken over the Liquor Ace, Trevor's old lab. Ron didn't like the look of it, so he asked his contact to meet him there.
Hey, friend. It's been a while. I know you're busy, but just in case you're looking for me, I gotta go tell some folks what's what. Yeah, I've been waiting for something like this to happen since Trevor took off. Vultures showing up in Sandy Shores looking for scraps. Don't worry though, Ron's got it all under control. Unless, you know, you wanted to help. Backup would be nice. They've taken over Trevor's old place at Ace Liquor.
Once arriving, they found out the Liquor Ace had been taken over by the Fooligans, a gang of hippies led by a man named Dax. But Ron wasn't so happy about this. Trevor's business meant something to Ron, and seeing it overrun made him nervous. He had built up Trevor's business all these years, only for it to get destroyed by a bunch of hippies. Despite Trevor abusing Ron, he and his business felt like home. And once the liquor store got taken over, he felt personally attacked.
These crazies, they started their own gang war with the Lost. They stole a bunch of their bikes, their meth. It's not safe here.
Trevor never needed a friend, he needed a tool, and Ron was the perfect target. He didn't ask Ron to help. He told him through yelling and manipulation. Trevor carved Ron's loyalty with fear. To most people, Ron looked like a partner, Trevor's right-hand man, the brains behind the operation. But in reality, Ron was just a punching bag. He managed communications, shipments, finances. He ran the entire back end of Trevor's business, and yet the credit was always Trevor's. Any success was due to Trevor's genius ideas, and any failures were Ron's fault. 4 years Ron lived in Trevor's world, under his rules, always one wrong word away from being the next body buried in the desert. But somewhere between the abuse and the paranoia, Ron started to change. He had been Trevor's right hand for so long that he forgot what it felt like to think for himself. But when his boss went whole Winewood on him, and for the first time in years, he was alone. No orders, no threats, and no screaming. He didn't know how to live without someone barking commands at him all the time. He began to realize that maybe, yes maybe, he could do things on his own. He began making decisions for himself. Small things at first, like rejecting bad deals, investing in equipment, and organizing the hangar. But still, Trevor's abuse truly never left him. When the Fooligans took over the Liquor Ace, he felt personally attacked. Ron Jakowski spent years living in Trevor's shadow, manipulated, abused, and treated like a tool, rather than a friend. He ran Trevor's empire from behind the scenes, never getting credit and always carrying the weight. And when he left him for Winewood and the Fooligans took over, Ron realized how little he truly mattered to the people he served. But in that emptiness, he found something he'd never had before. He stepped away from the chaos, walked out of Trevor's shadow, and began rebuilding his life on his own terms. No more orders, no more fear, just Ron finally in control. After a life spent following someone else's madness, Ron Jakowski chose peace, and for once it was his choice.